finally go. I always adjust things, but I guess such is the way of perfectionists. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the live stream. I'm going to do a little quick update, astro update. I just want to see if my levels are looking okay. They look all right. So I'm just going to pull this up. I'm going to pull up some X-Men theme song as you all come in and we talk a little bit. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the roses. I'm going to play some old school. Okay, so while that's going, I'm going to get... Okay, I want to also see if... Because one of you, voice of one... Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I am Jean today. I don't have my my head plate on, you guys. I usually do body paint for that, but I'm doing another show with my friend. Let me just bring this down a little bit. I'm doing a show a little bit later at about 6:30 with my friend Tiny Aphrodite, and we're going to be talking about part 2 of soundtracks in movies and music. So that'll be fun. That's why I was playing the X-Men theme, because if you think about the theme songs of any of your favorite shows, and that includes superhero shows, superhero themes, like so, oh my gosh, He-Man. Oh my gosh, so funny. Oh gosh. Oh, thank you, thank you. So I'm Jean Grey, one of the original X-Men, if you are familiar with the X-Men. My favorite version of Jean Grey is probably Famke. I think that's how you say her name, Famke Jensen. Was something falling? I was feeling like my world was falling around me, actually. So later today, I'm going to be doing a Phoenix cosplay, because we're going to talk about story time about the Phoenix. There's also I'm not as well versed in Marvel universe or multiverse, so I'm going to use it as an opportunity to look into it a little bit more, right? Get some more intel about it, because they're all like models by which we can kind of map our own reality, right? Like, so not to get attached to any model, but more or less like look at it, analyze it, and see from it what truths we can gather for our own personal mythos and stuff, right? Let's see. Hello. Stanley was a god. Chuck Jarvis, yes. So like Marvel, it's funny because I'm working on my own comic book, and so in the process of doing so, I took out a lot of books, did a lot of classes as it comes to like what it takes to make comics. So I draw. I want to show you guys my little Wolfie. I have a little Wolfie dog, but I also have a Wolverine I drew today. So I want to show you. If you saw my stories, you would have seen. Where are you? Okay. It's my little book of magic, but all my sketches and stuff in it. I'm a really analog kind of girl. Even when I write, I like to write things out with a pen and paper. Like, so I have like my alchemical table of symbols, right? Where was I? I was getting Wolfie. Sorry, Wolfie, not you. I mean, Wolverine. Yeah, so if I had to choose, I love you, Wolverine. So, hey, Keegan, hello, welcome. I'm just making sure I said hello to everybody. Some heroes don't wear capes. Aw, thank you. You know what? Oh my goodness, I'm almost, not lose my table. Almost lost that. It's been a minute. I know. I've been so all over the place, you guys. So actually, before I begin what I wanted to talk to you about today, I'm doing a comic book a little bit, read later, but oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah. The comic book I'm reading, you guys, later tonight, it's been so crazy because I've been trying to do my schedule as being noon and midnight. Now, time, I don't know what it is these days, but time feels like it's just like spinning so fast. I can barely keep up. So I have my own creative projects that I've been working on. Look, my Deadpool Pikachu, right? So I have my little team up, my dream team of like Wolverine and yes, I would say this is the preview live because I'm not in full cosplay. I'm here hanging out with you guys as Jean Grey, and I'm going to talk to you about why I love Jean Grey personally, and I'm just going to go into a little bit of some astro, the time continuum. Yes, oh my goodness, it's been so crazy. Do you guys mind dropping in the chat like what time zone you guys are in? Are you like West Coast, East Coast? I'm Eastern time, but I used to work on a global team, right? And so when it came to that, it was so crazy. I would do like calls at like 6 in the morning with like Australia, and then if we had to have a call between like Asia, like Japan or Hong Kong, and London and us, and then forget it if you had to include Vancouver in that because it was so hard to get everyone. Let's see, Eastern. Oh yeah, 3:55. Ryan, you're in my time zone. Eastern 2. Scott Summers. Oh my gosh, Scott Summers. Hello, welcome. We're gonna talk about a relationship a little bit, as well as our child, Rachel Summers, and the relationship between Rachel Summers and Jean Grey, because I have, from a personal level, learned a lot about myself through learning about Jean Grey and her character development to 2055 in England. Late for you, Nathan. I used to do a lot of work with London back in the day, Nathan. And it's so funny because I think you guys did daylight savings 2 weeks after us, and this was like back in the day. You know, like I think now with Outlook calendars or whatever, when you're at work, I haven't been in corporate for a long time, so it's thank goodness. Dealing with calendars and syncing calendars, I do not miss it. But back in the day, you know, like before Outlook calendars did this automatic sync, my meetings would get all messed up around daylight savings. It would basically, like, anything that I had, because you already had a time difference thing, and I was dealing with a lot of South Africa, and so all to say, the daylight savings that happened here, I'm in Toronto, in Canada, and it screwed me up. I've been trying to get a hold of it ever since. So thanks you guys for being supportive as I go through that. So welcome to my live. What I typically talk about on this live, I do readings of my comic book collection and comic books I get from the library live to you guys. And it's all just kind of in ode to, well, first of all, my dad when I was growing up. I'm going to go visit him actually probably around Christmas. I'm trying to work out all that. That's why I've been all over the place too. Like Christmas is coming up, the holiday season, the end of the year already. And I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a lot of prophecy in comic books about the next year that's coming up, 2025. And also there's a lot of cosmic alignments. So today, for example, oh my gosh, let me just look at, can you hear my Gotham in the background here? I was going to do actually some Astro of the X-Men. Now, the reason why I'm going to do some Astro of the X-Men is because my first round through, you guys notice like I do a lot of Supergirl, I do a lot of I love the DC girls, but I also love my Marvel girls too, right? And Jean Grey herself as a character, I at first did not like her very much. I did the same thing with Batgirl. I was like so jealous of them, right? Because I was just like, oh, how come they get to do that? But like we don't realize that these characters are acting on a higher archetypal level, right? And so when you give them life, it's you that's interfacing with it, right? So the parts of Jean Grey that I didn't like in her or I found annoying were the parts about me that I needed to reconcile. So that was kind of fun to go through that, right? Because I had a big crush on Cyclops back in the day. Wolfie, oh my gosh, my Wolfie, can you hear him? He's having dreams. Wolfie, hey baby boy. You okay? Yeah. I know. Crazy times. Okay. All right. So, back to what I was talking about. I've just been all over the place when it comes to the live stream. So, hi. Hey, Jared. How's it going? Hey, Winston. Hey, you guys. Welcome to the live stream. So, consider this the pre-show. I'm going to be having a chat with my friend, Tiny Aphrodite. We have a show on a weekly basis that we call Topical Illusions, where we have discussions about movies and music. And she was born in the 60s and I was born in the 80s. And so we have found that she's, I think, Pluto in Leo. Don't quote me on that, but I'm Pluto in Scorpio. And right now, Pluto has just moved into Aquarius after being in Capricorn for a very long time. And so it's now going to be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. So we have broken new ground. The last time that Pluto was in Aquarius was during the American Revolution. So the vibe in the consciousness right now is very much of revolution, of upheaval, of breaking new ground, of whatever is novel and new, and everything, the dreams of all of our ancestors are coming to accumulation right now, whatever that means. So Jean Grey, I initially, as I said, thought she was super annoying because I was like, I don't get it. Like, why do people like her? And I don't really get like psychic powers. So think of it if this is like a big RPG game, and this relates because Marvel itself also has a role-playing game as well. I don't know if you guys ever played. I had a friend of mine who's in the Dragon Warriors as a Dragon Knight. You guys, if you wanna, I'm working on my own RPG game called The Dragon Warriors Battle for Mount Olympus, which is tied to the first book that I wrote when I was 14. It's basically this evil queen, Watiko, infiltrates Mount Olympus. If you're not familiar with Mount Olympus, it's where the pantheon of gods from the Greek pantheon live. And she goes up there and she like subverts everything, and she kicks out some of the goddesses and she turns them against each other because she's trying to overtake the stories. Because all stories are built off of everything else. I was watching a YouTube clip about how Grant Morrison and Alan Moore apparently like don't like each other, and it's like almost like, oh, they're like warring wizards, right? And I'm like, well, that's unfortunate. Because it's kind of like you each have like pieces of the puzzle that can be put together to get a bigger picture of things, right? So Jean Grey and the mutants in X-Men. So I'll show you guys the comic book I'm going to read you guys a little later. So I'm reading you guys X-Men versus the Avengers. Drop in the chat if who you have winning, X-Men versus Avengers, if there were to be a fight. I don't know what lineup of Avengers this is and what lineup of X-Men. So if you guys know anything about comics, each iteration, right, each configuration of the team has a different like set of abilities associated with them. So actually, that's what I was looking up first. The chart of the moment. So my live stream, usually in the day, I like to talk about astrology. And then in the nighttime, we read comic books. And it's typically, I pick a story based on what the stars are telling me to read, you guys. And for me, as your host, as your cosplay host, what character makes the most sense to tell you that story in, right? Because we are all multifaceted beings. I think that's something, when we think about multiverses, that's a main concept that is that is striven, like we strive to understand these ineffable things through stories, right? So when we're talking about the multiverse in ourselves too, we have different universes. Like you have your work universe, you have, if you're a parent, like being a dad or a mom universe, you have like being a sister or a sibling, you have also like these different groups you have, right? Like whether or not you're on a dance team like I was, a cheerleading team, or you're part of like a theater production and you're going to put something on, you're part of a project, you're part of these iterations of teams where you're unified towards a common goal. It just happens with superheroes that you're saving the world, right? The Avengers, the X-Men would dominate depending on membership though. Yeah, exactly, Jared. It depends on what the lineup is, I think, on like who wins this conflict. And as you can see in the background, you have the Phoenix over top all, right? Because, I mean, the Phoenix Force has embodied both Avengers and X-Men. I think I was reading, oh my gosh, what comic was it? It was the AXE, where it was Avengers versus X-Men versus the Eternals, and the X-Men had figured out the key to resurrection, right? So they're able to resurrect their own X-Men. They're actually able to resurrect more than that. There's just a process that's found out. And because of this, the Eternals get very like their panties in a bundle, like, oh my gosh. we're not the only immortal people around. This threatens our seat. So it also brings into I love that comic because it talks about how like no different than like the gods judge us, we also judge our gods. So there's like this two-way street there in terms of divinity and mortality, and one is not better than the other. One actually needs the other. It's kind of that kind of thing. So in the stars right now, you guys, the sun is still in Scorpio. It's moving ever so close to Sagittarius, so right in the end of Scorpio season, the 29th degree of Scorpio. This is like if you are born in a 29th degree of any sign, you're going to feel this. You're going to feel this anyways. It comes with it, beginnings and endings. And so tonight, when I embody Dark Phoenix after Jean Grey, so I'm working on right now like a little skit between myself and myself, because I read a comic about how Jean, as a teenager, she has this timeline where she tries to like not embody the phoenix, being like, wow, me as a phoenix destroyed this whole world. She's kind of a biatch, and I don't want that. Now, and the thing is, as Dr. Manhattan says, things don't begin, things don't end, things just are. They always are. They always will be. Like no different than in Crisis on Infinite Earths, when a world ends, as long as there's a memory of it, it existed, right? I do create, I have one that I'm working on right now. So I've been getting back into drawing. I don't necessarily think my style of drawing is what I want for my comic book, but I'm slowly getting everything ready to put up on crowdfunding, and so you guys can help support me bring the Dragon Warriors, which is my comic book, to life. And the dragons in my universe are dream dragons. They guard portals. So everyone has a dragon, right? Because if we think of it as a symbolic thing of the Kundalini snake that sits at the base of your spine, right? When we achieve full activation, it's like almost like all your energy centers come together, activate, and there we go. And so dragon heart, the heart is the chakra by which all other chakras may open. And that heart chakra, in a lot of comic books and in Sailor Moon, which I love very much as well, your heart crystal, and activation of that is almost like this key to unlocking everything. Even Iron Man, right? Like where he has this little, his crystal there, where like the suit is powered from it. There's symbolic representation of these crystalline energy centers and other ways of us thinking about organic technology, right? So I don't know if you guys ever watched the animated movie Atlantis with Kida. I did her cosplay and no one knew who I was. I was like, Kida from Atlantis. 50 hours in. Let's see here. Initial stages. Hot Bliss, maybe your universe and my universe can play together, right? And see, okay, so I'll tell you guys this, right? I encourage all of you, I think Carl Jung said this, put it all in a book. Your life story, how you view it, your perception, is your universe, right? And that's why I love these crossover stories, because it's when you have these whole universes colliding with each other, right? And so it's a great way to look at and discuss and analyze these higher concepts. That's the right word for it, like concepts. Like conceptually, right? We're talking about things in very like abstract terms, right? But it can be done in such like a much more fun way, right? Like as opposed to being like, oh, you're not going to understand a human body simply by dissecting it and tearing it apart to its smallest components. You learn about a human body through the experience of being in a human body, right? How you activate yourself and all of that kind of stuff as well. My sign is a Taurus. I'm a Taurus, you guys. Fun story about my birth, though. I was born in 1985, so the mid-'80s. And when I was born 3 weeks late. So like super, super late. So it's like I meant to come into this world as a Taurus because I was April 24th, which is like very early Taurus. So that's something for you guys to consider as well with your own sign. Like where in the sign are you? Are you closer to the beginning of the sign? Are you closer to the end of the sign? And so in the cycles of like the cosmos, as these like rhythms come up, you're going to feel that on a different level than others, right? And that's That's why it's important to live out your life being you, being the superhero that it is, that you are, right? And that's why when Jean refuses the Phoenix, she starts to get these dreams. She feels like she's being haunted, and she feels like it's like the Phoenix, which is like a cosmic force, right? A cosmic force of beginnings and endings, right? The Phoenix is immortal because he dies to be reborn again. But you need to go through the process of burning yourself up and turning into ashes in order to be reborn. It just doesn't come just because, right? Same thing goes with the resurrection that the X-Men figure out. It's not without sacrifice and work, and I think that that's what is the message I want to get out to you guys as it comes to the magical age that we're entering, right? Because Pluto's in Aquarius. Pluto is 0 degrees Aquarius. We haven't been here since like the American Revolution. We haven't been here in a very long time. And we have never been here before with all these other cosmic alignments. And remember, back in the day, Pluto wasn't discovered until the 1900s. So back then, they wouldn't have known that it was Pluto, right? Am I the real Jean Grey? That's a great question because there's a lot of clones. Like, am I Madeline Pryor? Did Madeline Pryor know that she was Madeline Pryor before she was Jean Grey? Oh, actually, that's a great, hello, Aquaman. Alex Alba. I love Aquaman too, you guys. I love Atlantis, that's why. So, in your own chart, just to bring this, to fuse astrology and the X-Men together, in a way that, like, how I see it, and I'm going to just introduce you guys to it, and it might give you some ways of interfacing with the reality as we see it right now. Okay, so let me just see what else is going on here. The moon is in Leo. That's fun. I love that because the moon in Leo, I look at Leo as like big love, big expressions, big hearted, the solar plexus. So I feel like there's a lot of opportunity in the energies right now to really grab a hold of it and do with it what you want from your dreams, from your dream space and your subconscious space. There's a lot of movies and art that deal with like, say you talking to you, and this is something like, you know, like the voice in your head and like the thoughts in your head and like sifting through all that and realizing when perhaps a dream isn't yours anymore, or taking a step back from that. An example is this. I used to work in the corporate world. Pluto coming into Aquarius, we're moving away from Capricorn, and Capricorn is like all about our like society systems. So constructs such as like the police, government, industry, so like Hollywood. Hey Papa Bear, hello, thank you. So we're talking about how we're going to be in a new age of being and humanity, and in comic books, the X-Men are a unique embodiment of the concept of how your genetic code unlocks special gifts in you. And sometimes these gifts can seem like a curse, and sometimes they are a gift. And the same thing works with your astrology chart in terms of the map of the stars. So just like your genetic code is uniquely you, where like you can have members in your family and those that share certain strands and types, and then you can have like your soul family, right? And those who you share certain characteristics from a level of how you communicate, how you dream, how you are creative, how you are able to pull down certain ideas and make them tangible and real. Hey, Cotton Bitch. Hey. How's it going? So this is the pre-show. I'm going to come back on with my friend Tiny Aphrodite. We're going to be talking about part 2 of books that have become movies. I think we might talk about more fantasy books that have become movies. And I'll share with you something from the Tolkien movie, if you guys ever saw it. It actually stars the guy who plays Beast, I think, in the younger like X-Men Future class. I like him. I like Beast too as a character. And Beast is one of those too, like like a play on Dr. Jekyll. Yay! Thanks for the crown, Alex Alba. Yay! How's the whole Live Fest fun as well? Okay, so I want to streamline this as to like, why the heck Jean Grey today? This is going to be the read later, but I'm going to be doing this as Phoenix and not as Jean. I wanted to be Jean because I wanted to talk a little bit about, so the movie that just came out, Deadpool and Wolverine, right? In that, they bring in this concept of, who are the time continuum lords? Like they look at like the integrity of timelines and the concept of like an anchor character, and when that anchor character is no longer there, then like the whole universe falls apart. So I do think there's a truth to it in some regard to that. But then like, who decides who's an anchor character in a universe, and whose universe are you in, and like where it's a cool concept by which they went deeper with it, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. We're going to talk about Cassandra Nova. Because Cassandra Nova is an interesting character, right? And speaking of, oh my gosh, Cassandra Nova, I wanted to speak accurately about her inception. Okay. Cassandra Nova. Xavier was an Omega level mutant and the twin sister of Charles. Okay. Being banished to the void by the time variance, there it is, the time variance authority, Nova took a liking to it. Okay, this is not, I need comic book version. Okay, so I thought, I don't know if you guys are, so they say Cassandra Nova is the twin sister of Charles Xavier. I thought she was like some foreign entity that took over Charles Xavier's genetic code or something. Okay, well, regardless, I was reading how in the comic books, Jean Grey defeats Cassandra Nova by forcing her to feel all of the heinous things that she did to people. And so by her learning to have a heart and have empathy, this is how she defeats her, and she's then able to like go on a path of redemption, let's say. So I guess even the most horrible figures can be redeemed. That's the thing about like all of these like super powered villains. It's a lot of I read you guys about Superman, about how he died and he didn't actually die. It was more about like the story of it, so you leaves an opening to, oh, perhaps there can be a comeback. And I think that is the key, because these characters are immortal, right? And then what does it mean to be immortal, right? And when you resurrect, there's still a cost to it, because death is not an end, it's just a transition point. So yeah, there's a lot of like wrapped up in that, and in the comics too. And what we have going on right now is, on a larger collective level, we're dealing with these concepts. So this is going to be the read a little later. I'm going to give you guys, what I wanted to do today is what I'm going to, was like going on this big tangent. But I put on Jean Grey today because I wanted to put on my Omega level psychic abilities to do the card readings for you guys. And I'm not going to do every sign just because I do not have time, because I have to drop off this and then go over to the cinema and set up for the next show, but I'll catch you guys later for that. But I'll do a quick reading for all of us, the collective whole, and then I will then also, we'll do every element, because in your own astrological birth chart, you're going to have elemental affiliates. I don't got my costume. You know what though? And it's also, I've gotten more into like sewing stuff and like making things, and there's such a magical act when it comes to like creating your outfits, right? Like give me back the days when like men wore armor out and stuff. Like there's some nice armory, and I've been getting into like Eva foam for like to be a real cosplayer, you guys, and there's so much fun stuff to do. I wanted to give myself my own like female Spartan outfit, because as you guys know, I love mech suits. And then My hubby can be Master Chief. So like all those fun things, like I need a little workshop for that and not be in the city to do that. So stay tuned for that. What kind of superhero would you be? Like if you had a superpower, let's go into, I'm going to go to the card readings. If you had to choose one superpower, and I get it, all the superheroes have almost like a stack of superpowers. We also talked about how like you have secondary mutations based on the fact that you have an initial mutation. So going into that, I wanted to explain the X-Men and the Astro thing first, and then we'll do the read because it's all going to be related. So the X-Men, each of their powers are related to their genetic code. It's why like Cassandra Nova, she's extremely powerful because she has all of Charles Xavier's powers, just in a different form, a twin. And clones are essentially twins, right? So Madeline Pryor, who is the clone of Jean Grey, I think Mr. Sinister did it, and in spite of the cloning, it's not exactly the same. So even though you have the powers, it doesn't exactly map exactly the same. So there's something to that. Despite the clone being the clone, there are differences, even though your power stack is the same. So I can relate that to, let's say, your astro chart. If you have twins, they're going to have the same chart, right? But actually not exactly. Their rising sign might be slightly different because it's to the minute with your astro chart. So twins are usually not born at the exact same time. You're going to have one come out first, and 3 minutes later, another baby, right? So based on that, the whole chart can line up differently because of that rising sign or ascendant sign. So, oh yes, and that's how Cable was born. Yes, and perfect timing because Voice of One and I are Cable and Rachel Summers in another universe. And I actually wanted to look up the message you sent to me. Let's see here. January 10th is 1986 is Cable's birthday. That's a trippy date. Rachel Summers, September 30th, 2014. Cyclops' birthday, and Jean's original birthday, phase 2, 1963. Oh yeah. 10/27. Ooh. Oh my goodness. Okay. October 27th, 1984. So Jean Grey, thank you for Voice of One for that. Just as before I get into the reading, I didn't know what Jean Grey's birthday was because I didn't know for some strange reason when I was doing my my research, I couldn't find any of the X-Men birthdays. So 10, oh my goodness. It's funny, right? How oh my gosh. You know what's crazy? How like October is the 10th month and it's not the 8th month right? So crazy. Cable and Bishop is time mutant. Yes. So I feel like in your birthdays, in addition to, of course, like your genetic makeup, is in that interface is the clue to activating whatever your special powers may be, right? So, and oftentimes, especially with those who have psychic abilities or let's say those more, let's say psi powers, I want to have nuance to it, right? Because like when Superman was going up against that fifth dimensional demon thing, he got all freaked out because he's like, oh my gosh, it's magic. It's hard for me to deal with magic. It's why he deals with Zatanna. And my last show with my friend Aria, she was Scarlet Witch. And so we were talking about how like, okay, it's almost like Scarlet Witch actually deals with the constructs of reality, right? So being able to build realities, worlds, break them down, all that kind of stuff. And whereas Jean and Xavier almost like live on this like etheric realm and deal with more of that. Because I don't see Jean as being able to create whole worlds like that, even though as the Phoenix, I have to look into that, because if Phoenix is power of creation, destruction, technically speaking, shouldn't the Phoenix be able to create a world? Let's see here. Knowledge from Watch X-Men. Right? Cable was born in the present and raised in the future and then came back. So through what, like, I think through mapping a lot of these more time travel characters, you may realize that you are one of them and you just forgot. Okay, so hold on. I wanted to look up Jean, just a second. So October 27th, 1984. That is Jean's birthday. That's making her a Scorpio. She's born very close to Halloween, which kind of makes sense, right? And as we're like dropping off of Scorpio season and going into Sagittarius, we can think of all of us, hey, Cy Thomas, we can think of all of us as a whole going through this unveiling, right? So stepping behind backstage. Jean became Dark Phoenix because Phoenix took over. Yeah, so this concept of cosmic entities, right? And how they interface. So, for example, like Dr. Manhattan, when he teleports, right? So like he teleports Silk Scepter and they go like to Mars or wherever. And I remember once in the comic book, he says that, oh, we're not moving anywhere. Everything else is moving. We're staying in the same place. So there's something to that in terms of space travel where like it's not like we're going to go into like a metal ship and then fly off into space. It's more like this is the meat space ship, and it houses the consciousness that then travels inward and then yet externally at the same time. So it's like yeah. And Cyclops' birthday, September 22nd. I'm going to do a synastry between those two and then bring in Wolverine as well. So Wolverine, any of these characters that end up without the constraints of time, like Deadpool's the same, you end up being able to see the larger picture, like their larger story. Now, what that can come with it is this sense of almost like nihilistic doom, right? We're like, well, what's the point of doing anything if I know how it's going to end anyways, because you don't know how it's going to end. Just because even though, let's say this is a song and we're coming back to that same part of the song, it's going to be a different chorus, and it's like no different than when I used to do theater shows, and you have a show and you rehearse it and you know the show, right? And then you do a Friday show, you do a Saturday matinee, Saturday night show, and a Sunday matinee. But each of those shows, even though they're all the same shows, they have a different audience, they have a different vibe to them. So they're all going to be all slightly different, because in the stage, in the live, there's always this room for the improv, for the other way for the story to be told in such a way, maybe inflection on how you say a certain line or things like that. So Wolverine wasn't X-Men, he's part of Alpha Fight First. October 12th is 1832 is Wolverine's birthday. Oh my goodness, we need to do, so you know what, later on this evening too, with along with this read, I'll have some of those charts pulled up and ready for you guys. We can do a little deep dive and kind of map out, because I wanted to map out the powers of the X-Men that already exist with their birthdays, and then you can kind of like do some inferences if you have commonalities with some of these characters. Like, wait a minute, maybe maybe it's not such a silly thing to think that I can actually like dream travel, or the fact that I can actually like see glimpses of the future, whatever that means, or the different possibilities that exist, right? Because I think that's when you look at nature, it gives us a wonderful map as to how it kind of works. Like, I think of time as like branches in a tree growing up, but then as above, so below. So as the tree has its network above, it has all of its roots and systems below as well, right? It's like why I love mushrooms so much, because in the whole ecosystem of like a forest, no one tells each thing what to do. It's all this natural way of synergistically working with each other in an ecosystem. So I feel like as it comes to us as like a human race, I don't know if I like that term either, because we are from the earth here, right? There's something very special about this planet, like regardless of us looking up towards this cosmos and looking up towards the stars, there's something really special about this existence, right? Because if we think of things symbolically, it's why Zeus loves, like, banging mortals all the time, right? There's a lot of love. Like, there's a story in Japanese mythology about how they have how their royal line is built, because there's dragons, right? And there is a beautiful dragon, and she fell in love with a mortal, so dragons are shapeshifters too, right? So she changed into a mortal so she could be with him, and their firstborn son became the first emperor of Japan. So it's a way of like linking lineage and representation of the divine on Earth. But now with Pluto in Aquarius, that kind of makes things a bit more. Oh, hold on a second. My Wolfie wants to get food time sooner rather than later. Okay, Bubba? You're fine. You're fine. I'm working on a little Green Lantern outfit for my little Wolfie too, so it can be like the full Green Lantern Corps. But that's a different universe right now. So later on tonight, I'm gonna do the read, and I'll pull up some charts for some of the X-Men, so we can kind of look at like their powers and see if it maps to their astrological signs. And then if you have some stuff in common, yes, Wolfie token cameo, he's here. Wanna come say hi? Here, come say hi. Hello, hello everyone. Look at the oh, you're camera shy. It's like I know. All right, buddy. I know you want to get food time already. I'm gonna wrap this up, bud, and then you can go. Actually, I'll maybe let you out. Here, go see Dad. Right? Go. There we go. Okay, so that's a great segue into doing the card readings for you guys. Where did I just put it? Okay, here we go. So we're gonna do a reading for all of us as a whole, and then I'm gonna go into let's see here. Oh, thank you. He's so cute, right? He's my little familiar. He's got a very active dream world. Got such a personality. Very cat-like too in some regards. Okay, so a big power that I wanted to have was to talk to animals. I think was when I was growing up. Read the Phoenix Song. I will bring that. That was actually I think first released in the 80s too as well. Jack from Jupy. Okay, so and remember, it's kind of funny because reading tarot cards kind of like reading a graphic novel from like left to right. But we're not going to do past, present, future right now. We're going to do a card reading for the all, and then yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, so reading for the all. Let's see. 5 of Wands. Ooh, that's like a call to action. I love this deck. It's my Shadowscapes deck, so I'm going to just show my other teams here. So since that's a minor arcana, I'm just going to pull another card for all of us. That's a call to action, though, like a call, like, oh, it's like a warrior call, like Warrior Goddess Wednesday, which is what I call these Wednesdays after all. Woof! And death. Speaking of Phoenix love, so we basically have the 5 of Wands, and the wands are fire, the element of fire when you think about this astrologically. And it's this idea of bringing idea into form. Like Prometheus stole fire. Prometheus stole fire from the gods, but it's not just, cook food and stuff. It's also just like inspirational fire. What does that mean to be able to be a creator, to take inspiration to form things? So this with the 5, we think of our 5 senses, how we bring that into form. You have also like help here. So us at a collective level, it's about a call to action in a way of this 3D realm. Anything that's been kind of like marinating in the subconscious, there's like, it's now. And that's going to come through putting to death any old ways, any old loops, any like the old stuff is not going to stand anymore. It's got to be all you, all integrity now in order for this to happen, because I don't think there's any room for wavering. Like when you look in like any kind of like movie where like it's like down to the wire and everything's falling apart and you're like trying to run and there's like the bridge is falling down and you need to like just like run and jump, and if you like second guess yourself, you're not gonna make it. You gotta just jump, like trust that you have like done the training and you're gonna make it to the other side. So just, you're gonna make it. So big jump, you can make it. I want people to run because he connects with it. Yeah. And like just this idea of like the beast within you and not to be afraid of that beast, right? And that's why I like dragons, right? This concept of they're not pets. It's not just like, oh, domesticated. No, it's it is a dance. It is a balance. It is this realization that this is something very, not well, in a dragon's case, dangerous, and in Wolverine's case, dangerous. But there's that's what's thrilling about it. And there's those of us who love like that line of like the danger and the thrill and the experience of like, oh my gosh, that could have gone really wrong, but it went really right. So that for some beings, that's the thrill of life. There's a way of experiencing that with whilst also not hurting other people. There's that too, right? Like as you embark on your own goals and pursue your own universe, that you're not like stomping on other people. So we got a lot of fire in that reading, so I'm going to start with fire signs first. So if you're a fire sign, you are Aries, you are Sagittarius, which we're coming into, we're ingressing into Sagittarius very soon, and you're Leo. So Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries. So this is like Aries is cardinal, Leo is fixed, and Sagittarius is mutable, and they're all different expressions of that elemental sign. So in your own chart, you're going to find that based on all the different planets and where they're placed, you're going to have an affinity, let's say, an affinity for a particular element, right? So me personally, I don't have a lot of water in my chart. I have a lot of fire and a lot of earth. So I find that in my relationships, I tend to have a lot of, I seek out a lot of water babies. So Pisces people, Cancer people, I love them. My birthday is on the 16th. Happy birthday, Cal. So you're a Sagittarius. All right, so this card reading then is for you too. So we've got the 10 of Cups. That's very much more emotive, much more intuitive. 10 is a sign of completion. I also look at that as like an abundant kind of number as well. It's this concept of like receiving something. So since that's minor arcana, I'm just going to pull another card to clarify. We've got, and the 4 of Cups. So this one's a more nostalgic card. So fire signs, my friends, usually don't have problem with initiating anything and moving forward with anything. But what we have right now here is a level of wistfulness, this idea of like looking to the past. I was talking to my hubby about this. Brennan, you're excused. Take a hall pass to go to the bathroom. Okay, and then so if you think about this, so fire signs, there's this urge here to almost like look back, look to the past. And there's nothing wrong with looking to the past, but it's important not to stay there and not to like ruminate too long about it. Like take your lessons and step forward into it. There's a lot of water cup energy here. So like cups in like regular playing cards are actually also represented by hearts. So when we think about like what our heart is saying, what our emotions are saying, there's a lot of that going on right now with and with fire signs, they have a lot of impulsiveness, right? So I have a lot of Aries placements, so I can feel for this, like, you know, when you feel something like, oh my gosh, I need to act on it right away. But oh, perfect. Okay, good. Yay, thank you. Also, that alien full movie that you sent me with Star Night, that was kind of trippy. I'm going to see if I can do some watch parties. We might do that on Rumble, let's say. Accept my request. I will. I can't. It's hard for you guys. I'm also wearing these gloves. It's hard for me to actually even like the screen stuff, to do stuff quickly. Sometimes it'll like read it. Sometimes it won't. We're not at that whole telepathic state yet. So fire signs, we've got the 4 of Cups and then the 10 of Cups. So this idea of don't get steeped in nostalgia. Make sure to, like, although you are very initiatory, just to also be aware that Okay, deep breath. Maybe I was triggered. What time can I go to bed? You can go in like 5 minutes. What sign are you, Brennan? Because then that way you don't miss your reading. Versus, yeah, so we just did fire. Let's do earth next. I'm earth. So earth is Taurus, earth is Capricorn, earth is Virgo. And we have the magician, and that's major arcana. So that's a cool one, earth sign. So really manifestation coming up hard in the cards. This idea of as I speak, I create. So earth signs, be aware of your words and be aware of what you're intonating and invoking as you go, right? Yes. All right, next we did earth and fire. Let's do air. I'll save water for last because we're just at like exiting Scorpio season, and Scorpio is water. Even though its ancient ruler is Mars, making it have this like fiery aspect to it. So I like to think of like Scorpio is almost having this like molten lava situation, all of this like fire that sits underneath. So we're not there yet. We're going to go air. So we're going to do this for Libras, Geminis, as well as Aquarius. And Pluto has just moved into Aquarius. So you air signs are going to feel this activation. Do not say water. You can go. Just jump back in right away. Okay. So my air signs, my sword signs, we have, ooh, Two of Pentacles. This is very like I like this as like a creative collaboration thing. So the thing about Aquarius is like very socially aware, but can also be aloof at the same time. You know, like it's almost Team Can. Oh, sorry, PCJP. I love you, Team Cancers. Because as I said, I don't have a lot of water in my own chart, so I have a lot of love for the water. So like grand finale. There's a reason why I don't know how divination works. I just do it. So we've got for air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, 10 of Cups is back. So I love this. It's like completion, which is kind of fitting with the way the collective is going right now. But remember, cups are emotional. So let's say it's the closing off of anything that emotionally, like it has served its purpose, this relationship has run its course, goodbye. Or rather, like until next time, or like just closing it off. With this Two of Pentacles, it's because there's going to be additional opportunities to have collaboration in your creative world. So that's how I read it for you guys, air signs. Okay, and then finally, last but not least, my water signs. And just to remind you, water is, of course, Cancer, which is cardinal water, Scorpio, fixed water, and Pisces, which is mutable water. And like Pisces, like, are you even really a person? Who knows? Water signs, incredibly intuitive. I feel like with my water friends, they go through phases of whether or not they want to be social or not. But me as a Taurus, I vibe with Cancers because, as I said, we all love naps and security and, you know, comforts and security. So like the time as it is right now, it can be a little scary for that kind of stuff because novelty and change and upheaval and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so we've got, for water signs, 9 of Wands. Ooh, love that. I gotta drop soon, you guys, because I gotta run to, I got the cinema booked, and so we're gonna do a show there next. Ooh, 9 of Wands, I like that. It's like a very, like, you're like going off onto a quest on your griffin. And then the Queen of Wands. I love that. Okay, my friends. My water signs, we have here, like, I call this, it's like the hero going off on his journey, right? 9 comes with it, like, worlds. Like, you think like the 9 levels, 9 worlds, a journey to figure out all these different layers of yourself is what's coming through in terms of that water signs. You're probably might be in the thick of this already, well deep into whatever your spiritual sojourn quest is. But what I have here is the Queen of Wands, the Queen of creation magic, let's say, and as an ally, she's playing a harp. And in comic books, this idea of even like the harp, the idea that playing a certain tune, playing a certain melody, that's how you traverse a realm. That's how you go to a certain place, by having a certain tune played. So, hey Wolveraza, I look at this as a way of looking to your inner muse, my water signs. And your inner muse can be embodied by someone externally too, right? That's like when I have, like, for example, when I used to have crushes, or like I still do have crushes on comic book characters, like they're not real, right? So it's like that's your imprint on it. So whatever that a queen is to you, water signs, and this idea of helping to bring into life the healthy embodiment of queenliness, right? Mother energy, and not to say it in you, but in more like honoring it, right? And in honoring that, having that, you're nurturing yourself to be able to embark on your hero's quest. Because, just like in Oregon Trail, when I was playing that with my hubby, and like, you make sure you prep before you go off on your long journey. Make sure you have enough food and supplies and all that stuff before you go, because that's why I'm going to an adventure to my fridge. That's a perfect Cancerian journey. That sounds good. Okay, guys, I gotta draw. I gotta get ready and run next door to do the cinema, and to go to the cinema. So I will probably still stay in this outfit. Oh yes, many more. Dazzler. I love Dazzler. I need to do a Dazzler cosplay. I think she deals with the fact of like sound and frequency vibrations as well, right? So I love how comic books explain powers, because through that explanation, through like adding logic to it, I feel like we can get this higher understanding of even ourselves, and in this consensus reality that we get to play in together. Okay, guys, so I will catch all of you next time. I'm gonna run, and then I will be back in about maybe an hour. And then later we will have likely a dance music set, because I think it's time. We got like Pluto in Aquarius. Let's bring on the age of Aquarius, whatever that means. All right, guys. Until next time, farewell. In 2 shakes, I'll be back. Oh yes, DJ Caduceus will be back. Oh, and remember, the universe is counting on you, right? But no worries, I have your back.